Hi guys, welcome back to Abroad and Growing. As you've noticed, it's just me today hosting today's episode. As you all know that life abroad can get quite busy sometimes, so Nashi and Shiro cannot make it today. It is just me. Why am I moving like that? So it's me hosting the today's episode. Let's get right into it. We are going to have a great conversation anyway. Just Nashi and Shiro will be joining us in the next episodes. So let's have some fun. my voice, come back. Yeah, let's get right into it. So today's topic is about back then when I was au pair, how I thought when I was au pair, I was falling behind or falling behind. How do you say it? Yeah, here we go. I'm just trying to think in German and translate it to English. Okay. Yeah. So today's topic is about how when I was an au pair and I thought kind of I was lagging behind, like falling behind, and then how Germany changed me in a positive way. You know, when I decided to move abroad as an au pair, I had this picture in my head, a soft life. You know the one. Cute European streets, weekend trips in Paris, learning a new language, living this main character type of life. And don't get me wrong, that's all is real. But what no one really prepares you for is how uncomfortable it gets, how lonely it gets, and how confusing it gets. Because sometimes it's not you traveling all over the Europe or traveling all over Europe. There you go. I'm reasoning in German and speaking English. Okay. So, yeah, what did I wanted to say? What I wanted to say is that sometimes it's not you traveling around in Europe or sitting in those wonderful cafes, the type of main character life you are dreaming of. Sometimes it's just you as an au pair working in a host family. Maybe you are in their host family kitchen, not understanding what is being said. You're just smiling. You don't understand the language. There's a language barrier over there. It's just nodding and wondering or even hoping that you just didn't agree to something that you don't even know. Sometimes in those moments, you start asking yourself, what am I even doing here? So if you've ever traveled or moved abroad as an au pair, or even planning to move as an au pair, this video is mainly specifically for you. And if you've never traveled or you've never been an au pair before, this might change how you see what it really takes. Let's start with the dream, because we all had one. Let's face it, everybody had dreams moving abroad. So for me, it was the freedom, it was growth, it was becoming independent, like a different type of level of independence, if you guys get me. And also, let's be honest, it was a bit of an escape, a chance to start afresh, a chance to become someone new. But reality, let that sink in. The reality hits different when you land here because suddenly you are living in someone else's house, someone else's rules, everything. Yes, you are living in someone else's house. It's not your house, not your rules, not your culture. And then, of course, in some case, you speak a different language as well, you know. So you're trying to understand how things work. What time is dinner? Like, what is the dinner time? Do we talk at the table when we eat? You know, just learning the type of the table manners vary from family to family, you know. So you're trying to juggle and understand that. And then, is it okay to sit quietly alone, or is it okay if I'm quiet, will I be judged? Things like that, you know. How do they discipline their kids? Because an au pair, you'll be working with the kids anyway. So those questions linger in your head. They linger in your head and wondering, like, these are like you're trying to find out how you can fit in. Yeah, what is expected of me? like really, like how am I supposed to behave? And no one gives you a manual, to be honest. Because you came completely from a different culture, and now you have to integrate into a new culture. So let's talk about the host family dynamic, because this one, my friends, this one will really test you. It will put you into test, yeah, because you are not exactly an employee, and at the same time you are not exactly a family member. You are somewhere in between, and that in between is so confusing. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to even explain it, to emphasize on it. That space in between is so confusing, because some days you feel included, yeah, and you will laugh with them together, yeah, you will eat together, you will feel like maybe this could be home. Let that sink in. You feel like this could be home. But when you snap out of it, some other days, you feel like a total stranger in the same house. Like you don't fully belong. Like you are being watched. Like you constantly have to prove yourself. And that pressure, it builds. Because you don't want to mess this thing up, you know. You don't want to be the difficult au pair, because in my case, there was already an au pair that came before me and was apparently very good, and they gotten along so well with this au pair that left after I came. And so in that scenario, all you want to do is just to not to be called the difficult au pair. Yeah, you don't want to disappoint them, because and in my case, the au pair was also from Kenya. So she already had set some kind of how do you call it? She had set some standards for au pairs that are coming from Kenya. It was like up here. Yeah. So me coming in, if I wouldn't prove myself to be good, then I would be kind of disappointing them. In that case, maybe I'll destroy chances for the others that will be coming after me. So in that case, all you want to do, you don't want to disappoint anyone. Yeah. So sometimes you stay quiet. Even when something feels off, you're just quiet. You don't have anyone because there's all this pressure on you to prove yourself, to not to disappoint anyone. So most of the time you stay quiet and observe. Somebody will humble you. I think anybody who I've met ever since coming here to Germany, everyone has that kind of saying, Germany will humble you. And it is true. It is true. Because Germany will humble you. It will humble you in all kind of way. The structure, I think we've mentioned that in our previous videos. The rules. Also, if you haven't watched our previous videos when we talk about how the rules are and all, you can watch our previous videos. Yeah, it humbles you when it comes to rules. It humbles you when it comes to directness. Yeah, first it's a shock for everyone because let's face it, back home you are kind of used to the warmth, community, the spontaneous conversation, but here everything feels so structured, planned, precise. I don't know why it always has to be like that, but anyway, that's the culture. So even conversations can feel different as compared to back home, you know, more direct, yeah, less sugar-coated. So if you're not used to the directness, and generally if you're not used to that, like when somebody's being direct to you, sometimes it can feel like a rejection, to be honest. Like in my case, I felt rejected. And of course, and today I learned that it's valid the way you feel in that moment. So it can feel like rejection, even when it's not. Yeah, you'll feel alone sometimes. Yeah. And then there's the language, German. the one I'm still struggling to figure out after all these years. Let me tell you something. Imagine being an adult and suddenly feeling like a child again. You can't express yourself fully. You know how kids, when a kid is starting to speak, learning the languages depending on which environment the child is growing, and then the kids is struggling to express themselves. So that's how you feel when you're learning a new language. In my case, it was German. Mind you, coming here, I was speaking already 3 languages: Swahili, English, and Luo, and add German onto it. How confusing that can be. So of course, I felt I couldn't express myself properly. I couldn't joke the way I used to. I can't even explain my thoughts the way it sounds in my head. Because maybe in my head it is sounding like it's Luo. The joke is in Luo. And how do I express it in German? How do I make it sound funny, interesting, captivating in German? If it sounds so interesting, like you can laugh when you think of the joke in Luo or Swahili, but you can't express it in German, you know? And sometimes, even after years, you still struggle, because I mean, you started learning this language as an adult. I mean, you still hesitate before speaking because your brain is kind of trying to switch from one language to another. Like in my case, as I've mentioned, in my case, I'm speaking 4 languages by now. I think I have a 5th one. I'll disclose that in the new feature videos. But before I speak, I have to hesitate, because in that moment, I have to reprogram my brain to think in that language in which I want to communicate. So sometimes I might seem like we are not confident, or maybe the words are not coming out clearly, but trust me, after 2-3 minutes, once I've reprogrammed my brain, then I speak. So I also have some moments where I still translate in my head. Yeah, I kind of have to translate things so that I can make it or even understand it better, if you know what I mean. And I still worry, like, did I say the right thing, you know? So that's how it is, like, challenging learning a language as an adult. When you learn a language as an adult, in those moments where you cannot express yourself properly, or you hesitate before you speak, or when somebody speaks to you in German, you try to translate it in your head before you, you need to translate it so that you can understand it for yourself. Those moments can really mess up with your confidence. Yeah, because you find yourself in an environment where you're speaking German, you have to speak German, because back then there was no one speaking English. I think today people who are moving to Germany, they can start with their English, but back then when I was coming here, or me and my other 2 friends, when we were coming here, no one was speaking English. You could meet somebody on the street and ask, like, hey, I need to go to A from B. Can you show me where is this location? They will say, like, no, I don't understand what you're saying. So you're kind of forced to speak the language, which is not a bad thing. It kind of humbles you. You have to learn the language. But in those moments, you feel like your confidence is stripped away, because you're learning and you can't express yourself the way you should, or the way you normally do. So you can't be that confident. Back home, you were articulate. You could articulate properly. You were more expressive. Like me, I was very expressive back home, and you were understood. It depends on, like, in Luo, if you would express yourself in Luo, you'll be understood. You didn't even, sometimes some words, it's almost like people read your mind and they understand you immediately without even finishing the sentence. But here, you struggle with that. So here, all of that is limited. And then comes the thought, that one that creeps in slowly. Am I lagging behind? When you look back, as you are juggling the culture, you are juggling learning how to understand the language, feel more comfortable. All of these things are happening in your life as you start your life abroad. But when you look back home, life is moving on. Your friends are graduating, getting jobs, starting businesses, getting married, and you, my dear friend, you are trying to figure out how to say appointment in Germany or how to ask for directions in German. Sometimes you are figuring out how you would express yourself when you go to visit the doctor in German. While life is moving back on, you're trying to navigate the train system. Wow, boy. The train system you're trying to, because back home we have the matatu culture, the one whereby you just go to the stage, the bus stop, or I don't know how you call it. You go to the stage or the bus stop, you wait there, the matatus are always there. And in fact, they even beg you to go in. But here they have the train system, they have tram systems, they have U-Bahn, which is underground train, they have S-Bahn, that one is the train that goes above the ground, I would say. So you're trying to juggle all that, You're trying to survive the awkward dinners. Those dinners whereby the host family invites you, they invite a family friend to come over, and most probably you had to prepare the dinner that you didn't even know, something you've never eaten before. Then they invite a family friend. Now they're about to eat something that you prepared, that you've never prepared. And then you have to have a conversation with these people in a language you can't speak or articulate yourself properly. So in those moments, it doesn't feel like progress. It feels like delay. And some people's life is moving on back home. But with all those challenges you're going through, don't be discouraged. Things or everything changes. Because what if in those moments you're not behind? What if you're just growing in ways that no one can see? Because while it looks like your life has slowed down, look closer. You're learning how to adapt, how to communicate across cultures. You're learning a new language that you never spoke as a child. You're now an adult learning a new language. You are learning how to build relationship from nothing. Remember, you didn't have friends when you came here. So in that moment, you're trying to learn to know new friends, new people, new faces. You're learning how to survive discomfort. Wow, that's I think when you learn that, how to survive discomfort, that's a life lesson of its own, So in those moments, you shouldn't be discouraged. You are not lagging here. You're juggling all these things at once. Do you know how powerful that is? That's not small at all, That's not being behind. That's building a version of yourself. A version of yourself that can exist anywhere in the world. And let's be real. There were moments I wanted to quit. Moments where going back home would be a safer solution. Drop down everything and go home. And there were also those moments where you thought like, maybe this is not for me, being an au pair. I'd rather be studying in college somewhere, because most of your friends, they are back at home. They are in the university, third year university, they are finishing college. So then those are there will be moments for those that are coming as au pair. There will be moments where you will feel like this is not for me. Maybe this is not for you. But truly for some people, maybe it's not for them. But I decided to stay, even though it was so hard. Even when it was uncomfortable. Even when it didn't make sense. Juggling all those cooking recipes, cooking shrimps, something that I never ate in my life. Those moments, I just felt like going home. But I didn't quit. Those were the moments that it didn't even make sense. Why should I do this? Why should I prepare shrimps? So even when I felt alone, it was so hard, yes, but I stayed. And that matters, that I stayed. Because if I wouldn't have stayed, I wouldn't be where I am today. And because I stayed, something shifted in me, slowly and quietly, but powerfully. I started to understand more. I started speaking more confidently, not fluently, but I started speaking German confidently. I started to find my rhythm, how to live, like when to wake up, like mind you, everything is scheduled and everything is structured. I started finding where is that train, where is it heading to. I started learning the street names. I started finding those locations that seems difficult. I learned to prepare shrimps. I prepared that. I just let go. I built my own routine. I found my people, by the way, slowly by slowly. I met other au pairs that were also doing au pairs from around the world, from US, from here in Europe, some were even from Kenya. I found my community. I created my own version of home. I had to build home away from home. And then one day, I looked at myself and realized that I am not the same person as I came here. That I was different because I was learning, I was growing, I was building, I was surviving the discomfort. I was growing stronger. That's what is powerful. All those challenges, all the cooking of recipe, the intense cleaning, the OCD, getting lost while taking the kids to piano classes, ballerina classes, all those things, those moments when I felt like quitting, when I felt that it didn't make sense, when I felt like, what am I doing here? When I felt like I was lagging behind, when I felt like a complete failure, I was growing, I was surviving the discomfort. Because it is constant growth. You fall, you stand up, you move on. You fall, you stand up, you move on. So I grew stronger. I was more resilient. I was more self-aware, or I am self-aware. Why am I talking in past tense? I have faced things that I wouldn't even imagine in the past that I would go through such kind of difficulty. Sometimes it's really hard, but the difficult part was coming here and trying to find home away from home. So if you are in that place right now, you're feeling lost, feeling behind, feeling like you don't quite belong, you are not behind. Each time when you feel so challenged, you feel like you're stuck, I want you to know that you are not. You are not stuck and you're not behind. So I need you to hear this. You are not behind. You are just building a life that requires more courage than most people will ever understand. And if this is your story, or even part of your story, I want to hear from you. What has been your hardest moment living abroad? You share your comments, your thoughts, or what did you learn from your hardest moment? How do you define growth currently as compared to when you came in? What was growth to you when you were coming, and after so many years, what is growth to you? Share your stories. Let me know how you felt when you came to Germany, or in whichever part of the world you are, whether in US or somewhere here in Europe as well. Let me know. Let's talk in the comment section, because one thing I've learned is that none of us are alone as we may think. There are some people who would think like their life path or life journey is exactly like yours. And I feel like if you hear other people going through the same thing you're going through, then you don't feel alone somehow. When I was an au pair, when I would hear other people's stories, how they are struggling, how they are getting back up every single day, that motivated me. It gives you some sort of a backbone to survive all this. Yes, so talk to me in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.